Vince McMahon is back in WWE and reportedly overseeing a possible sale of the company as WWE explores strategic alternatives. But the question is, who will buy WWE? Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of WWE. And of course, the biggest story at the moment is who will buy WWE. Now, as of the time that this video drops today, I'm once again traveling. So, in order to deliver that A1 content that you enjoy, I thought I'd have a bit of an open and frank discussion about some of the people that could buy WWE, my opinion on it. Do I even think that WWE is going to be sold? The latest Vince McMahon sort of discussion points, all of that kind of stuff. So, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below if you like this kind of video. If you like what's going on right now with WWE, probably not. Who you think is going to purchase WWE as well. Lots of people are discussing a variety of different people who could purchase the company. So, of course, Vince McMahon has forced his way back into the company, and it's under the guise of we need to sell the company. The time is right to sell this company. It's the best time. The landscape is such that streaming services and big companies are looking for intellectual property. They're looking for intellectual property to stream on a weekly basis. They're also looking for intellectual property to have merchandising situations and theme parks, etc., etc. So because of that, Vince McMahon says, I need to come back because I need to be spearheading this as the majority owner and as someone that has the majority of the voting power. I need to oversee all of this. Now, the WWE Board of Directors did not want that. Vince McMahon said, I don't care. I'm the majority owner. And if you don't allow me back in, I'm going to veto and block any possible sale of the company and any possible media rights negotiations, so I'm coming back. So he is back with two board of directors, Michelle Wilson and George Barrios, and he's also changed the company bylaws so that for any sale now to actually go through, even though it was kind of the case anyway, but now it's in writing, it has to go through and be approved by Vince McMahon. And there is some discussion that whoever Vince McMahon decides to sell to most likely would be the company that said, we're going to give you all of this money, but also we want you to stick around to run it on a day-to-day basis. That's the grand plan. That's the end game for Vince McMahon fully regaining the power that he lost when he resigned or retired in July of 2022 amid all of those sexual misconduct allegations. So as of a couple of days ago, of course, WWE, they have hired JP Morgan to help the company advise on a potential sale, according to people familiar with the matter. JP Morgan, when they were reached out to by CNBC and other big media outlets, declined to comment. A WWE spokesperson also couldn't be reached for comment. But basically, WWE have hired JP Morgan. Usually, these big companies hire these banks or these sort of financial advisors to guide them through this process. It's the same thing that's happening with Manchester United. You might know me from United View, big Manchester United fan. Similar situation right now. Manchester United, the Glazer family, are exploring strategic alternatives. They've hired the Rain Group to help facilitate that deal and field offers from all of the interested parties. WWE has done the same here, and instead of the Rain Group, it's JP Morgan. So, which companies are the front runners? Which ones are the people that could be purchasing the company? Well, the biggest one, I suppose, and I think it's the one that most people consider to be the favorite, and ultimately it's probably the one that I expect to ultimately buy WWE if indeed the company is sold. Of course, Vince McMahon has said that just because they're doing this process, just because they're exploring strategic alternatives, doesn't necessarily mean the company is going to be sold. But the favorite is Comcast. Now, Comcast owns NBC Universal, and the reason it's a potential fit as a buyer for WWE is because they already have so much business going on with WWE right now. They have an exclusive streaming deal with Comcast streaming service Peacock. They also have cable TV deals with NBC Universal's USA Network for Monday Night Raw and also NXT. They also as well have a huge amount of money coming in January of next year from Disney for a 33% stake in Hulu. Comcast can really sign WWE, purchase WWE without having to pay them all of the money of all of these renewal increases as well. Because this is the point too, that Vince McMahon has said in his return to the company that he wants to facilitate or decide upon what they want to do are reselling the company before even beginning the negotiations for new media rights, which of course will come at the end of the year, and then they'll come into effect around sort of October-ish time of next year, 2024. And And let's face it, if Comcast buy WWE, then they don't need to worry every couple of years about, oh, we've got to negotiate with WWE, we could lose them. There was a situation, of course, before. Monday Night Raw was on USA Network for years, but there was a period of time where they left. They went to TNN, also known as Spike TV, and eventually they went back to USA Network. They had SmackDown for a period of time from sort of 2016 to 2019. They lost them. They could have a situation whereby if they own all of these big, if they own WWE, they can do whatever they want with it. And also as well, when they have, theme parks as well, not bad to have a WWE part or whatever theme parks they have too. And just, again, given all of the money they've already invested, and they already invest most of the time anyway into WWE, and it's around $2 billion anyway, they might think, you know what, instead of doing $2 billion every couple of years, every 5 years or something like that, let's just spend $6 or $7 billion. Let's just buy the company. Let's just do that. Then we don't have to do it ever again. It's a lot of money up front, but long term, it's probably actually one of the best things to do. So given the inroads that are already there, given the relationships that are already there, my feeling is that with all of the parties that could be available, that's the one that makes the most sense. But of course, it's not the only interested party as well. Other people are suggesting Fox. Now, Fox to me seems a lot less likely than Comcast to pull off this deal, because Fox, first of all, has less money. They have a smaller balance sheet. They have around sort of 17 billion market valuation. If you compared that to Comcast, which is something like $160 billion, it's significantly less. They've also got a lot of stuff going on with what it looks like in their post-entertainment future. Of course, if you recall, back in 2019, they sold most of their entertainment assets in a $71 billion sale to Disney. But because of that, they've had to sort of try and combine it with their sort of news division, and they wanted to focus on sports as well. But given that they want to focus on sports, WWE does kind of fall into that. Of course, they already do have a deal. They've got a linear TV deal with WWE for Friday Night SmackDown, although there is some kind of debate about whether or not they will pick up and continue with SmackDown. And again, it might not matter by the time the company sale does indeed go through later this year. Of course, WWE hopes and expects a deal, if it was to happen, to be done by the middle of this year, maybe even by sort of March of this year. Things are moving very quickly with this. So I don't suspect that Fox would buy WWE. I think that one's quite off. A company that could buy them, though, is Disney. And some people are suggesting that, Bob Iger's just come back as the CEO for Disney, so he may want to do another big acquisition. Of course, Disney are well known for all of these big acquisitions, whether it is the likes of, obviously, Fox, the entertainment side of things, or whether it is, Marvel, whether it is Star Wars. However, there has been some sort of speculation of how profitable have these acquisitions been, and dealing with the fallout of all of them, were they really the best return for money? As I mentioned, they purchased all of these Fox assets for $71 billion back in 2019, and there may be a feeling that, again, that's a lot. That's a lot. And do we get the best value for money? Now, you might also say Disney is so family friendly. Would they buy into WWE? Well, of course, look, WWE does fit their business model. It's a well-known Americana brand. It's a family-owned company by the McMahons. It's been around for, 80 years, if that. So it would make sense, and if they could get the WWE Network on Disney Plus, that would be a massive boost for them as well. And WWE does already do business with Disney around the world. In certain countries, the WWE Network is on Disney Plus. So it's not a big stretch to say that they could purchase WWE and integrate it the same way that they have tried to integrate Marvel and Star Wars into this umbrella of Disney. And we've seen how once they purchase these brands, these companies, they like to expand them out even more. Of course, we know about Disneyland and all that kind of stuff. And again, I think that from a Disney perspective, they'd be thinking of the merchandise opportunities, the theme park rides, again, expanding out that WWE empire into more television shows, into films, and all that kind of stuff could be hugely beneficial for for Disney. They could also maybe kind of try and move it onto ESPN. Of course, Disney does own ESPN as well, so if they wanted to treat it more as sports, they could move it to ESPN or ESPN Plus. If they wanted to treat it more as entertainment, they could move it to another side. They also, of course, own ABC, so they can put it on network television as well if they want. So there's certainly a lot of different options there. And look, Disney and Comcast, they had the big rivalry when they had all of the Fox assets back in 2019, and by all accounts, it was Comcast really, they were the one responsible for driving up Disney's bid for Fox in 2019. They drove up the price by tens of billions by topping Iger's initial bid, even though some speculated that they never really had any business or any interest rather in purchasing Fox. It was just a case of trying to get Disney to spend more. Could WWE be the next IP battle between Disney and Comcast? I think Disney is a real possibility. I do. I think Comcast are the favorites, but looking as a Disney Plus subscriber and as someone that watches a lot of Disney stuff, in Marvel and in Star Wars, I can see, again, a really strong brand like WWE fitting into that. At the moment, in terms of Disney Plus stuff, they kind of stay away from live sports, but at the same time, again, they own ESPN, so of course they're not opposed to live sports or anything like that. So I think Disney's a real possibility. Anyway, some people have suggested Warner Bros. Discovery. I won't spend too long on this one because I really don't think this is going to happen. Of course, yes, there's the existing relationship with AEW, which is part of it. Of course, Dynamite airs on TBS, Rampage on TNT. They're also very tied in with AEW when it comes to BR Live and pay-per-views, and Tony Khan has also spoken extensively about the great relationship he and AEW has with Warner Bros. Discovery executives. But the main reason why I don't think this is going to happen is because Warner Bros. Just can't afford it. I mean, Warner Bros., since merging with Discovery last year, he spent the majority of the year cost-cutting, drastically, whether it's cancelling movies, cancelling television shows, you name it. They've wanted to save, billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. And when you're in cost-cutting mode, when you're in a mode to try and save a lot of money because you've been losing a lot of money, you don't do a multi-billion-dollar acquisition and purchase a company like WWE. So those that are hoping that WWE in this bizarro world would end up on TBS or TNT, and then I guess AEW would end up on USA Network or something like that, I think that's really unlikely. I really, really do. I just don't see that happening at all, to be honest with you. Again, anything's possible, but I wouldn't suspect that we see WWE purchased by Warner Bros. Discovery. I think, again, most likely my favorite is Comcast, and I also think that we could see SmackDown end up on NBC. Even the past Saturday night's main event, that could come back to NBC. There's so many possibilities with Comcast. It just makes the most sense, in my opinion. Now, what about some of the sort of streaming giants? Netflix. People are talking about Netflix. They've kind of stayed away from sports live events. There's been rumors they would want to get involved in that. They have seen success with Formula One, Drive to Survive, but they've not actually been broadcasting Formula One. They've been showing the drama behind the scenes in documentary form. And there has been a lot of speculation, again, about these big streaming platforms possibly purchasing television rights to big sporting events, whether it's Premier League, whether it's baseball, NBA. WWE could be a part of that. I'm not sure I see Netflix getting involved in that. That feels off. I think their CEO said they've not seen the money or the profit in renting big sports, i.e. paying media rights. Now, if they own WWE, that could be a different story, but I just don't think Netflix falls into that one. So again, I don't think that one's likely. One that could happen is Amazon. Amazon is a very interesting proposition because they are very much in the business of streaming live sports, right? They've got Thursday Night Football. They've got Major League Baseball games. They broadcast a bunch of Premier League games over here in the UK. There's also been discussion when it comes to Manchester United of Jeff Bezos being interviewed. And, of course, so much acquisitions they've done, whether it's MGM or whether it's Whole Foods, whether it's whatever. Amazon's well known for purchasing companies. So WWE would be an interesting one. What a way to really boost Amazon Prime. I know that Prime, again, does have these sporting rights, which does help boost the streaming platform. And I know they have their own sort of entertainment division as well. But I think if they had WWE on there, that would be absolutely fascinating. And I think in terms of the big streamers, if you want to include Disney in that, I'd probably consider Disney the favorite. But Amazon, I think, is an option, certainly, that would be interested, but I think they're less likely than a Comcast or a Disney, in my opinion. Then there are some other interesting ones, such as Endeavor. Of course, Endeavor Group Holdings is the same group that purchased the UFC back in 2021. And the reason why they're really interesting is because when Endeavor purchased the UFC, they basically said, we own it now, but Dana White, you stay. You know what you're doing as the president of UFC. You know how to run this on a day-to-day basis. We own it, but we want you to, we're very hands-off. We want you to do your thing. And if that is the case, Vince McMahon might look at an Endeavor and say, I basically would be happy to have the same deal as Dana White got for the UFC. Maybe a bit more money, but at the same time, basically, you buy it, I'm in charge. And you put in writing that as long as I'm alive, I'm in charge. And that's Vince McMahon's way back in. It's not his only way back in. I think he's already really found his way back in. And that's by having a slew of directors on the board of directors that will vote for anything he says. George Barrios and Michelle Wilson were out of the company. They were fired. He brought them back in from no real business otherwise just to get their vote on the board. There are 2 vacant seats on the board of directors as well. They'll likely be filled by McMahon sympathizers. He can get any of the required votes that he needs now to put himself back as the CEO or the head of creative. He doesn't need to sell the company, but he might want to make himself some money along the way. And I think this desire to sell the company does go back to when he was even running things in the McMahon era, in the McMahon regime, because that's what all of those budget cuts were about last year, was about trimming the fat in preparation for a sale of the company. So Endeavor is an interesting one, and I think keep an eye out for that certainly as well. So they would be really the ones. I mean, for me, again, Comcast I think is the favorite, but I also would say, do not assume that WWE will be sold. Again, the feeling is that most likely it will. By March to sort of June of this year, it will be sold. But at the same time, this could just be all a grand plan by Vince to set himself back up in the position that he was previously, and that's being the executive chairman, which he is now. He wants to be the CEO, and he wants to be the head of creative. And he might decide that the only way to really facilitate that and take the heat out of his own hands is by selling the company and putting it on the new owners. They want me back. It's not me. I know I said I wouldn't break up the new management team, but it's them. It's not me. And that's how he keeps everyone on their side. Maybe that's what he does. Or he says, you know what? Screw it. I held the company hostage. I did a hostile takeover to get my way back into being executive chairman. I just won't sell it. I can't be bothered to sell it. I still want to be in charge. I still want to be the majority shareholder. I still want to have the majority voting power. I'm just going to appoint myself as the CEO and the head of creative once again. I've got the votes now. That's the key thing. Because my only thing is with this, Vince McMahon loves money, but he loves power more. That's why he's back. Vince McMahon sitting on the sidelines as the majority owner and having the majority voting power would stand to make billions upon a sale of the company and also the media rights fees negotiations without doing anything, without lifting a finger or two. He would make all of that money. So it's not about money. He came back because he wants money, but really he wants control. And do you really think Vince McMahon, of all people, would want to answer to a higher power in Comcast or Bob Iger in Disney? Of course he wouldn't. He doesn't want to answer to anyone. It's Vince McMahon. The day they tell him how to run the company, no, he's not going to want to do that. So I still think there's a possibility it doesn't get sold, but we'll have to wait and see. But there you go, guys. It's the latest on who will buy WWE, or certainly speculation on my part. Who do you think will buy WWE? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.